Hello, and welcome to the KnitandGrace podcast. This is episode 6. Hello, and welcome or welcome back if you are a returning viewer. If you are new here, my name is Mia, and I am the maker behind KnitandGrace. And today I bring you my monthly podcast episode. So everything that I knit in the month of February, although I filmed my last episode about a week early, so it's February plus at this point. So a few extra days than just the month of February. And yeah, so today is, as usual, if you have watched these podcasts recently, a cloudy day here in the Northeast. We are in the winter, so we will see how the video quality is. So far, everything's been great, and sometimes I have to touch things up a little bit in production, but or post-production I should say, but I think that for the most part we have been doing really well with the lighting in my podcast setup. So where I film is in the bedroom, which is the western side of our house, so I always have to wait until the afternoon to film so I have enough light, especially because like I mentioned, we're in the winter and it's pretty much cloudy every day here. So today I have lots and lots of FOs to show you. So I don't have anything knitted that I'm wearing today. We've been just up and at 'em and doing some errands and chores around the house today. So I've just been, wearing my normal clothes and just doing things around the house. And so yeah, nothing to show you in terms of what I'm wearing today. Because we don't have any whips, I think I might put in a little bit of a vlog of our recent trip to Hilton Head, South Carolina, where we went to visit our grandparents. And yeah, so that was the most of our February. So 2 full weeks of February we were down in Hilton Head in South Carolina visiting with our grandparents, and so I actually got so much knitting done, and I actually finished 3 projects while we were down there, because we were living the retired nonagenarian life. We were working remotely, my husband and I, but every night after dinner we would go over to our grandparents' house for dessert and watch the Game Show Network until it was time to go to bed, and then we went back to our Airbnb and started all over again. So I got in a lot of knitting while we were down there. So I'm going to jump right into the finished objects, and then I'll probably put in that vlog a little bit later on in the episode. But as always, I will be including timestamps so that you can jump around the episode as you see fit. So first and foremost, I am going to show you all my finished half and half triangles wrap. So if you have been here with the channel for a while, you know that I have, you know that I have been working on this since May of last year. And I actually bought the yarn for this in February of last year when we were down visiting our grandparents the last time we were down there. And so this is what it's looking like. And apparently my timers are going off. It's Saturday. I'm doing laundry. But yeah, I am in love with this shawl. And if I think in my last podcast I did show the shawl, and that I mentioned that I was going to take it down and I wanted to finish it. And I was able to finish it, and it was like so fun because as I was knitting on it, our grandfather was just like so enthralled as I was working this up. But yeah, I mean, if you do not know, the Half and Half Triangles wrap is a free pattern that was released by Purl Soho. And so I knit mine in Life in the Long Grass Hinterland, which is not the yarn that it calls for. However, this is a fingering weight yarn, which is a Gotland BFL blend. And so I made the large size. So the pattern comes in a sort of large and larger. So I made the largest size, which I believe is 260 stitches to cast on. And yeah, I'm in love. So the colors that I used, the pink color is called Madder Rubio, and then the brown color is called Myrrh. And so I ended up using just over 4 of the Madder Rubio. It was actually, yeah, like maybe like 4 1/4. The yardage on this one is also less than the linen quill that Purl Soho calls for. However, I guess between my finishing the first triangle and the second triangle, there was a couple months gap. My gauge must have gotten a little tighter because then I only ended up using 3 of the Myrrh, but I used like 100% of the 3 hanks that I had. And from my recollection of the pattern, your color B should actually be your color that you use more yardage of than your color A. So my gauge definitely did change. I haven't blocked it yet, but I have just been wearing it, and I mean, it's just so lovely. And if I haven't already, I'll insert some pictures here that my husband took when we were down in Savannah. And so this is what it looks like. And yeah, I mean, I just love this pattern. I will definitely be making another one. I think I'm going to try my hand at making kind of an in-between size. So with the smaller size, it calls for I want to say 2 hanks, if I remember correctly, each of linen quill of each of the colors. However, you don't use a lot of the second hank. But then for the larger size, it calls for 3 hanks of linen quill, and you only use a little bit of the third one. So I'm going to shoot for an in-between size so that I can use up 100% of 2 hanks of each color of linen quill. And apparently I didn't turn off my notifications on my phone. This is just the kind of day that it is. And so yeah, I love this project. Again, I started in May. I finished it just at the beginning of our trip, so probably the 1st or 2nd of February. But I will include my Ravelry, excuse me, my Ravelry project page below, which I do for all of my patterns, so you can check that out. Yeah. And so this is finally done, and I know that linen quill was just on sale, but I will just be waiting for a little while longer until it goes back on sale, and I will be buying some linen quill to make another one. Okay, so as you all know, and I don't know, actually, let me just do this. Today this is actually the mug or the cup that came in the Woolen Twine festive box. And I'm just drinking water today. I've already had quite a bit of coffee and tea, so I'm just hydrating a little bit with water. And I hope that you have something warm or refreshing with you as well. So hopefully the frog is out of my throat now. So yeah, so next up I have my pile here is the Oslo Hat by Petite Knit. And so this is another pattern that you all will remember that I took with me down on our trip that I wanted to finish while we were there. And so I had just finished, I think, the first ball of the 3 balls of yarn that I had purchased. So this is a Rico Design Merino DK that I purchased while we were in Brussels, and my husband picked out this color specifically. I haven't taken FO shots of this one yet, so I won't be able to insert them, but the color is definitely, I don't know why the camera keeps pulling it in as a royal blue, but it is a teal. And so my husband picked out this color and we bought it and I knit him a hat. So I knit the adult large size for this one, which is the largest size for the pattern, I believe. And I knit it on US 4, which are 3.5 millimeter needles. Again, with DK weight yarn, which the pattern uses 2 strands of light fingering to make a DK weight yarn, so you could do that, or you could just use a DK weight yarn. And then the color is called Petrol. So I used about 2.5 of the balls of yarn, I want to say. So I do have a little bit left over in case we ever need to patch anything or anything like that. And so now my husband has a hat, which actually has come in handy because the temperature since we've been back has been fluctuating quite a bit here in the Northeast. So let me see. I'm going to go in a little bit out of order for my notes because I just kind of piled everything together. The next project that I have is technically a half-finished object, but I did finish one of them, or one of the pair. And these are the Runa Mitts by Melody Hoffman. And if you've watched my last video, which is a video I went over on unspun yarn, there we go. You can see the little thumb hole. These mitts are knit, or you would have seen these mitts. So again, the pattern is called Runa by Melody Hoffman, and it has not been released to the public yet. I am a patron of Melody's Patreon, and so she releases the beta versions of her pattern before they have been tech edited and tested to her Patreon, her patrons. And so I wanted to try Thrive, which is the Woolen Twine unspun yarn, which is the yarn that actually Melody uses for this project. And so I bought, which in my acquisitions portion you'll see, but I bought a couple of plates of them, and so I just wanted to try it out on a smaller scale, and so I decided to knit up these little mitts, which is perfect as for the warmer days here, when you need something just to cover your hands but you want your fingers to be free, or even like when I'm in my office tends to be pretty cold, but then I need my fingers free for like typing and things like that. So these are knit in the woman size small, and I used 3 millimeter needles, and I used again the Woolen Twine Thrive in the rye color for the main body, and then I used Lopi, some scraps that I had left over of whatever their white color is, which I'll insert here, for you all for the contrasting color. So it's a really fun construction. It's kind of a faux intarsia because you kind of introduce the yarn and then you just break it at the end of each round, so you're not carrying it all the way through. And because of the nature of unspun yarn, it'll eventually felt on the inside and the color work won't be affected. So the color work portion is actually just on the, actually I guess I can just turn these inside out so you can see. So this is how you can see. So the color work section, and you kind of, you introduce the yarn a few stitches before and after, and as you can see, it's already kind of started to felt in there. And then on the back side, there's nothing. So those are the Runa mitts. And I will definitely showcase these again once the pattern is actually released so that you all can know that the pattern is available. So next up, I have another pair of socks. So if you watched my podcast last month, I have been knitting lots of socks. I definitely got my sock mojo back. Although this month I only knit one pair of socks, so I can save you from that. But these are the Bear Paw Socks by Andrea Mowry. And so I'll sort of bring it up close so you can see the colors there. And there's definitely, on camera, the camera is definitely showing a lot more contrast between the two colors than they actually have in real life. It's actually a very low contrast color combination that I chose. So these are the Bear Paw Socks by Andrea Mowry. These are I knit the women's size medium, which is the 44 stitch sock. They are knit from the toe up, and then she has a really fun gusset construction, which I really liked, where you just continually knit in the round. And you do have to knit back and forth for the heel, but essentially there's no picking up of stitches. So that was really fun, and a new way for me to knit toe-up socks. I very rarely knit toe-up socks, so yeah. But yeah, so the pattern is designed for, and I knit in the Farmer Starter Fibers Bear Paw, and their sock weight. They have a sock weight and a DK weight, so the sock weight. And in the sock weight, you actually hold it double. So it's a light fingering yarn, so holding it double will give you a DK weight sock. You could also use the Bear Paw DK weight if you wanted and just hold it single throughout. And so I forget the fiber content of the yarn, but it's really nice. It is mostly superwash, but it does have, I think it's like 10% of yak in the fiber. So even though I think it's merino. So even though the merino and the nylon are washable, because of the yak content, it's recommended to hand wash these socks. And so I knit these using the color Sunstone as the main color, which is this orange color, and Bitterroot is the contrasting color. So you see where you kind of start with the main color, you stripe here, you hold them together, you make the heel flap just in the contrasting color, and then again you finish with that stripe, and then the larger stripe. I did choose to bind these off using an Italian bind off, which is my first time doing the Italian bind off. They're not blocked, so I do need to block these. So I think that the bind off will look a little bit better once I do block them. But now that I've actually dipped my toes in doing the Italian sewn bind off, I think that there might be more Italian sewn bind off in my future. We will see how that goes. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I knit these on 3mm needles. So let's see. Here we have a very, very, very newly finished object. I finished the sweater last night, and then I finished binding off this morning. And some of my ends are still not fully woven in. But this is the Ruka sweater by Sari Nordlund. And so I hope that you all can see all this, because I can't see anything through the sweater. But if you have been following me or along with me, I started this in December as a test knit for Sari. And so for the majority of her test knits, they're usually about 3 weeks long, and you're only required to do the yoke and one sleeve, which I did fulfill that part of the test knit. And then at some point I also finished the second sleeve, and then just this week I picked up the body and I finished the body. And so part of the reason I hadn't finished the body previously is because I realized that I was going to need more yarn than I had ordered. So I did need to get more of the black Lopi. So I guess I should back up and give you the details of the pattern. So again, this is the Ruka by Sari Nordlund. I knit it in Lopi, which is the yarn that the pattern is designed in. I knit the size 6, and I think that's a finished 52-inch bust, which is usually what I go for. And I used US 8, 7, and 4 needles, which are 5, 4.5, and 3.5mm needles. And those are, I'm pretty sure those are the needles that she calls for as well in the pattern. So I did get gauge on the recommended needle size. And then I used the same colors as she used. So the color black is the color number 5. The white color is 51. And the gray color is 56. And I absolutely love this sweater. I've already tried it on. I just have to block it because, again, I just bound off this morning. And so one thing that I will say about this sweater is, if I knit it again, I love the way it fits around my body. It fits like perfectly around my body. And I will eventually take FO shots, and I'll probably bring it back out in the next podcast just so you all can see that. But on the arms, there's like just a little bit extra fabric, and it's not even like the actual sleeves themselves are actually pretty good. They are oversized, but not like super oversized. It's more like in the shoulder there's just like a few extra stitches. So I'm someone who tends to be in between sizes also whenever I'm knitting. And so I do typically size up just to make sure. So what I would probably do if I knit this again is I would knit the 5th size, and then just allocate the same number of stitches for the body as the 6th size, and then have less stitches in the sleeve, if that makes sense. Because it just has like a little bit of a bubble situation, which I actually don't mind. I'm still gonna wear this to death because I wanted something that was just oversized. I'm not intending to wear this like kind of like as an everyday piece, but something that I can like throw on if we're going for a hike and I need something warm, or if I'm running outside and or it's a very cold day and I just want something warm to snuggle up in. So I was definitely shooting for oversized, which it is an oversized pullover. But yeah, so that is the Ruka Pullover by Sari Nordlund. And oh my god, I feel like I am speaking it so fast today. So if I am, I apologize. Let me take a sip of my water. I don't know why I'm talking so fast today. I'm not like in a rush or anything. It's still pretty early in the day. I have plenty of time to edit this for you all tomorrow, but for whatever reason, I'm talking very fast, and I apologize. You can slow me down in the YouTube settings if I am going too fast for you. But I have one last knit FO, and then I do have a sewing FO to show you all today. So the last knit FO that I have is my gentle Lopi. Let's see, I'm going to show you all this. So this is my gentle Lopi by Melody Hoffman, and it's a super oversized pullover. It has a split hem detail, and the way that she designed it, the back hem is actually much longer than the front hem, which my back hem is slightly longer than my front hem, because I do have, you know, a significant enough upper bust to full bust ratio. The front of the sweater just naturally rises up, so I didn't feel the need to make the back hem super long, because it is already longer when I wear it. And this is just like deliciously oversized, exactly what I wanted. I finished this while we were down in South Carolina. However, I didn't get to block it until we got back home, so I haven't had chance to take FO pictures of this yet. We've just been crazy busy since we got back home, and I was really trying my best to finish it while we were down there, because I like had these grand ideas of taking pictures of this on the beach. And I'll actually insert, if you've been around here for a while, you'll remember my Saglan by Albina McLaughlin. I finally took FO pictures of that one on the beach, so I'll insert those here so you guys can see like how beautiful the beach was down there. It's just like the perfect time of year where you still need a sweater because it's still, you know, very cold down there. But it's, you know, it's still the southeast of the US, right? It's not going to be like freezing cold either, but yeah, I think while we were there, like the lows were in like the 40s, and I'm speaking Fahrenheit obviously, and then the highs every day was in the high 50s to the low 60s, which for everyone else in the world that's not in the US and uses the Celsius, I found a really funny reel on YouTube, not YouTube, on Instagram of a British comedian, and actually how he prefers the Fahrenheit system to Celsius. And he actually made a really good point where he's like, the Fahrenheit system is kind of, just think about how the percentage is to hot. So if we say it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit, that means it's 60% hot. Now, if anything over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, then you're just like way too hot. So anyway, I just found that funny. And if I remember, I will put in the conversion to the degrees here for you all. But yeah, it was still cool enough that you still needed a sweater, and because we were on the beach, it tends to be windy and things like that. So long story short, I wanted to take the FO shots while we were down there. That just didn't happen, and I just haven't gotten around to taking the FO shots. So again, this is the Gentle Lopi by Melody Hoffman. I knit the 3rd size, and so there are 5 sizes for this pattern, and so I think it's from like, it's meant to fit some like from a 30-inch to a 60-inch bust, the pattern, even though there's only 5 sizes, because each size of the pattern can fit a very large range of bust sizes depending on how much positive ease you want. So for instance, I knit the 3rd size, and I forget what the finished chest measurement is. I'll insert it here, But for instance, I have a 46-inch bust, and Melody, her sample, she also knit the third size, and I believe she has something like a 36-inch bust. So we can both still fit the same size. Hers is obviously way more oversized than mine is, and so it really just depends on how much ease you want. So I use Lopi, which is the yarn that the pattern calls for, and I use 1038, which is ivory beige, and 1030, which is beige. And then what I did was, which her sample and in the pattern, she does use two different colors. However, the colors she uses are much more similar in shade, so the marling is not as pronounced as it is on mine. So as you can see, the marling is pretty defined. So what I chose to do is then the braid detail that features around the pattern. So you see it here around the collar, around all of the raglan edges, the sleeve edges, and then also both of the bottom hems. What I chose to do is I chose to use just 1038, which is the lighter of the two shades, to have the braid detail pop out. So I'm really excited and to wear this, and maybe even today after I finish filming we'll go out and try to take some FO pictures, because it's a pretty nice day in terms of temperature. But yeah, that is my gentle Lopi. I feel like even though I have filmed a video since my last podcast, it's been so many weeks since my last podcast that I feel like I'm a little rusty. But I have one last finished object to show you all for today, and it happens to be right here next to me. It's just off camera. And so this is a sewing project, and this is the Town bag, which was just recently released by Grainline Studio. And so this bag is used to be produced by Fringe Supply, and Grainline bought the rights to many of their bag patterns. So like the field bag, and then I forget which the other bag was that they released before the town bag. And so they've been reworking the patterns and releasing them for the home sewist. And so yeah, this is the bag. It is a tote bag. It's actually pretty big. In here, I had it set up for some pictures, but you can fit an entire sweater's quantity worth of yarn here. It has a big pocket on the front, it has a split pocket on the back, and then on the inside it has two really big pockets, and it's not lined, so you use like a duck weight canvas, like a very heavyweight canvas. I think they recommend 8 to 10 ounces, so that the bag just stands up on its own. So there's no interfacing, no anything. This is just the weight of the bag. And so yeah, I used some duck canvas that I purchased from Joann, which is just over 8 ounces. And I purchased all of the other supplies like the what is this cord? The cord, the belt, the cotton belting, and the rivets and all of that. I purchased from Joann, and I actually purchased this burgundy color. And then when I was cutting everything out, I realized that I had enough of the burgundy color to cut an entire bag plus the pockets of a second bag to color block it. And then I had this brown duck canvas left over from bags that I made for my girlfriends when we went to Rhinebeck this year, and I had enough to cut out for the main part of the bag, so I decided to make this color block version. And then I do have the just one color burgundy cut out. I just haven't had a chance to sew that up yet. So this is the town bag, and then now that I have taken pictures and shown you all the bag, I can start using it. I haven't used it yet just because I wanted to keep it nice and stiff for the pictures. And I love it. So I'm assuming that I will have put in some vlog content for you all. And now we can get to the acquisitions portion of the episode. And then we can get into the March plans, and then I will run you through my progress in terms of my 2023 Stashdown goals. So for my acquisitions, I have them, or most of them here, in this bag from, what's it called, the Wool Warehouse. I just kind of put in a little bit of everything in here so that you all can see. So the first thing that I will show you is the yarn that I purchased in Savannah while we were down in Hilton Head. And so if you're not aware of sort of the southeast, that part of the country, Hilton Head Island is actually, it is South Carolina, but it's right off of the coast of Georgia. So you actually fly into Savannah, Georgia, and so the Savannah airport is actually called the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport. And then it's about a 45-minute drive to our grandparents' house from there to get on the island. So we always like to go on day trips to Savannah. And so I visited the Frayed Knot, which is the local yarn shop in Savannah, and where I actually picked up the yarn that I used for my half and half last year. So this year, I picked up some yarn. This is from the Fiber Co., and it's called And Make DK. It's their one stitch at a time line. Let's see if you can see that. There you go. And here's the color. This is looking a lot more like burnt orange on the camera, which I'm probably guessing is due to the fluctuating light right now. The color is called Lit, which actually, oh, let's see. Is it focusing? There we go. That's actually a little bit better showing off the color. So yeah, it's called Lit, which is the perfect, let's see if it's, yeah, that's better. The perfect description of this color. It's a pretty bright orange. And so I picked up 5 of this yarn, and it is a fine blend of Peruvian Highland wool, alpaca, and linen, 100% natural sustainable fibers from renewable resources. And so let's see, what's the percentage makeup? It's 55% wool, 35% alpaca, and 10% linen. And so I picked these up. I picked up 5 of these. And the reason I did that is because while we were away, my sister and her partner were taking care of our cats. And so I'm going to knit them up matching Oslo hats for when they go hiking during hunting season. So here in the Northeast, you know, well, in many places in the US, hunting is a big thing. But especially, you know, when it's hunting season, if you are hiking on public land, a lot of the time that's also land that's accessible to hunters to hunt. And so you need to dress in bright orange so that hunters can see you and, you know, you don't unfortunately get shot or mistaken for a deer or something. So yeah, so I'm gonna make them matching orange hats so that they can wear when they are hiking. And then I purchased some Lopi that I needed to finish my Ruka Pullover. So this is the color 5 black, or black heather I should say. And yeah, so I bought 3 skeins of it. I actually only ended up needing 2 additional skeins. I had 1 skein still left at home. So I have just 1 extra skein, which I will just have in my stash. I'm thinking I might make I think I'm gonna totally mispronounce this, but I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. Excuse me. My friend Heather of Oleanek Knits, they designed a mitten pattern, and they're called essentially the Forest Mittens. And so they name a lot of their patterns after, or in Irish, the Irish equivalent of the word for the pattern that they're using. So they're called the they're called the Forest Mitten in Irish, and I forget, it's like Foraois, or I'm not even gonna try. But I have 1 left over of this one, and I have 1 left over of the gray for my Ruka. So I think that I'm going to make Heather's pattern to use up the last of this yarn. So what's next? Next we have my woolen twine order. So if you all have been here for a while, you know that I'm a huge fan of Eula and everything that she does. And so I did place an order from her January shop update. So the first thing that I ordered, which I already alluded to, was Thrive. And so this is what that looks like. And so this is the colorway Rye. And so far this is the 2nd release of the unspun yarn that she has put out. And so with each of the 2 releases that she put out, there were 2 colors. And the first one was, they were cooler tones, they were like grays. And so this collection, it was linen, which I didn't get my hands on, and then Rye, which were warmer colors. So this is like a warm brown, and then linen was a warm beige. So I picked up 4 plates of this, and so oh my god, the name of the sweater pattern just completely escaped me. Let me pull up my Ravelry queue. So I plan to knit, it is called, here we go, the Heartwood Sweater by Tanya Barley. And so I believe the sweater is designed for unspun yarn, or if it isn't, it's been knit up a lot with unspun yarn. And so for the sweater, I needed 3, based on my calculations, plates. And then I just got an extra one because you always want to make sure you have enough. And then I plan to use the rye as the main color, and I will use Nutidin Harden that I have in my stash as the contrast color for the color work yoke. And then, because you have to snag her limited editions, I picked up her limited edition as well. And so this is, again, let's see, it's Scotland Welsh Mountain 4-ply is the name of the base, and it is 50% Shetland, 50% Welsh Mountain. And again, this is a limited edition custom spin, and it is completely undyed. So this is a natural black. Let's see. There we go. And it's absolutely stunning. And so I plan on knitting the Fernwood Sweater, also by Tanya Barley, with this one as my main color. And I've actually ordered her Scottish Welsh, I think it's like her Scottish, no, Shetland Romney, the Shetland Romney blend, which isn't a staple in our shop, but she does release several times a year in another undyed colorway, which I will use for the contrast. And my plan is that this is going to be my ride back sweater for this year. So I'm very excited about that. Then I will show you the Bear Paw Sock that I purchased from Farmer's Daughter Fiber, so that you can see what that looks like on its own. And this is what I have left over. And so the orange color is the sunstone color, and then the purple color is the bitterroot. And then I have enough of both of these colors to be able to make another pair of the socks, just using the bitterroot as the main color and the sunstone as the contrast color. So these will be all used up on another pair of Bear Paw Socks. And the last bit of yarn that I got, and then I did get some notions, is I got some Patons Croy. So again, I've been on a sock knitting kick, and so I see tons of people knitting with Patons Croy, so I've just been wanting to try it out. And so let me see. This is the color Brown Rose Marl. Oops, it's upside down for you all. Brown Rose Marl. And so I purchased 4 of these. So they come in 50-gram skeins. And I plan on knitting socks 2 at a time. And so I got 2 of these because I'm going to knit a pair for myself, and then a pair for a friend of mine that has a birthday coming up who is very knit worthy. So I think I have, between the Oslo hats and the socks, I have enough commuting knitting to last me probably for the next 2 months, definitely, maybe even 3 months. So the last thing that I'm going to show you in terms of acquisitions, I finally was able to order from my good friend Maria of Forest Charm. So this is the bag that the charms come in. And so she is Forest Charm on Etsy. She's Woolen Forest on Instagram. And she has the Knitting in the Dark podcast here on YouTube. And so I was able to purchase 2 sets from her. One of the sets I've already started using in a project that I very barely started that I'll talk to in a sec. So I'll insert a picture of those here. But these are the other ones that I got, which are absolutely stunning. So the little cloud, progress keeper with a little matching stitch marker. And I'm so happy to finally have been able to get a hold of some of Maria's beautiful, beautiful gems. So I'm super happy. So, yes, definitely a bit acquisitions heavy, but, you know, just based on the goals that I've set for this year, everything that I've brought in, has very specific purposes. I'm not purchasing anything unless it has a purpose in mind. So I will get to my March plans first, and then I will talk about how I did toward my Stashdown goals this year. Okay, after taking another sip of water, we can talk about my March plans. So March is going to be a bit of a busy work month for me, so I don't have too many aggressive goals for this month. But I did sign up for a secret test knit, which I will not be able to show you all. But I have gauge swatched for it, and in some stash yarn that I had, because I did have to order more yarn, and I'm probably gonna have to do a little bit of yarn management. So I had some of the yarn in stash in a different color that I was able to gauge swatch with, and I was able to get gauge. And I think that yarn is coming today, so I'll have that test knit going, which I think is due on the 31st. And then I'm not sure when I will be able to show you all that project. But I also want to work through the body up until the split for the front and back on my Ava pullover. So if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I posted that I started that pullover on Valentine's Day, which technically I did. But I only did my provisional cast on in about 3 or 4 rounds. So the sweater is knit in the round bottom up, which it's been quite a long time since I knit in the round bottom up. So I have to get back into the groove of having that many stitches on the needle, especially because I'm knitting with quite small needles. I think I'm using like US 5s on a DK weight yarn. So I didn't show that as whip here because it's literally 4 rounds. So I want to get through the body up to the split of the front and back this month. And then if you have been following me over on Instagram, you may have noticed that Megan and I, Megan of Kimchi & Co., have this love relationship with each other's outfits, and she recently posted this beautiful picture of her Highland Slipover that she knit by Ozetta. And I just loved everything about the vibe of this picture. And so I've just been, for a while now, I've been wanting to knit a slipover, because I also have a few other friends on Instagram that have recently finished the Highland Slipover. My friend Haley of, oh my god, why is her handle escaping me right now? The Knit Weekend, and Sarah of Sarah and Stitches have also knit the Highland Slipover, and I've if you all have been following me for a while, you will know that I knit the Bay Slipover, what was it, 2 summers ago for Jackie C. Slack, and I wear it all the time. But it's knit in a beautiful gold color, and there's only so many times in a row that you can knit or you could wear that before people start thinking that you're a little weird for only wearing one thing. So I've been wanting to knit a light color, just more neutral version or slipover. So that is my plan. I actually gauge swatched today, which I have right here. Here we go. I gauge swatched, and so this is Nutidin in the color Quartz, and the camera is definitely not doing it justice. Like this this color is just absolutely stunning. So I did my gauge swatch and I got gauge. This is currently not blocked, so I do have to block it just to make sure that my gauge doesn't do anything funny. And I'm planning on knitting the slipover version of Amy Scher's building block drop, which is the pullover version, and she recently released the building block Cardi, which is the cardigan version. So I had previously already purchased the building block drop, and because I do already have the pattern, and because that pattern is actually designed for unspun yarn, I'm gonna go with that pattern. And then and also just her patterns are just or their patterns are just so well written, and you know, includes bust shaping, includes, you know, just different ways to adjust the pattern for your body. And so I'm really excited to knit that. So I think the only thing that I'm going to deviate from for the pattern is I do want a folded over neckband, which they have options for multiple sort of versions. So you can knit it sleeveless, so as a slipover. You can knit it long sleeves with tapered sleeves, or long sleeve with straight sleeves. There I think are different body views, so like a split hem, a regular hem. So it's a really versatile pattern, and so that is the pattern that I'm going to use as the base for my slipover. So I don't know that I will, or I don't think that I'll be able to finish the entire slipover in March, but it's still pretty cold here in March, so it's really not going to start warming up and being proper slipover weather probably until the very ends of March, beginning of April. So I hope to have it done by then. So yes, now this episode is getting very long because I have been going on and on different tangents. And so I have, if you all have watched the sort of my goals or my intentions for this year video, you will know that my goal for the year is to have use up more stat or more yarn than I actually bring in. And so last month I did very well because all of my acquisitions that you all saw in that video actually came in at the end of 2022. This month I did get quite a bit of yarn, so not so well. And you know, that's just how it's gonna go. I don't think that I have any major purchases for March. Actually, I know that I have to curb my purchases for March, so I'll probably catch up this month. So this will probably be the name of the game. It's just, I'm just constantly gonna be going back and forth. So in terms of yarn in, so the total amount of yarn that I purchased equals 1,444 grams, or 4,464 yards. So that is the total amount of yarn that I purchased since the last episode. And I will say that actually because as you saw, some of my purchases were international yarns. A lot of those were actually purchased even in January, and it's just because of when I filmed. Since I filmed early in the month and when they came, it just all got lumped up into February. So in terms of the total number out, and so this is my total number out for the month was 854 grams and 2,878 yards. So that means this month I actually have a deficit, so I've let in more yarn into my stash than I've knit up. And so the total deficit is 590 grams and a total of 1,586 yards. So I should have probably done the math in terms of everything for the year. Let me do that really quick and I'll tell you where I am at for the entire year. Okay, so I did the math and I'm happy to report that even though I have let in more yarn than I have used up in the month of February, I am actually ahead for the entire year. So for the entire year, I am down 222 grams in my stash, which is equal to 595 yards. So just barely ahead, but I will count that as a win. So again, hopefully with no buying plans in March and whatnot, I will come out even a little further ahead for the month of March. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do all the things, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Definitely leave me a comment to let me know what you are working on. Are you joining me on this stash down goal for the year? And if you are, let me know how you're doing so far. But I hope that your March is off to a great start. It's, you know, the beginnings of spring here in the Northeast, even though it's still very much up and down and we just had snow last night. Yeah, it's kind of that time of year where I'm just getting really excited about all the things and just, you know, kind of buzzing with energy as the days are getting longer and longer. But again, I hope that you're well wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.